I don't know what it's like to be Machine Gun. I don't know what it's like to be blown up. But I know what it's like to drive a car.
Breaker one, this is the Bandit.
Audiences really get into the head of the actor or the character driving that car. And there's kind of a dream or wish fulfillment thing of, I wish I could drive like that.
In a sense, a car is a symbol of freedom.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time. For those 10 seconds or less, I'm free.
The Fast and the Furious is kind of an update of 50s hot rod movies. I mean, very much an update, but still relying on the same ingredients that made those films appeal to young audiences back in the 50s. They're rooted in a reality that there are illegal street racing gangs and events going on all the time, in spite of police's best efforts to get them off the streets. So it's maybe a little too risky, too dangerous for a lot of us to participate in real life, so we can participate vicariously through the movie.
The action on the Fast and Furious films is so intense. And it started out with a great story on #1 with Paul Walker and Vin Diesel. And then subsequently #2 and #3, Tokyo Drift, which is a whole different concept in car chases. We broke new ground in that. We got professional drift racers.
Okay, you guys ready?
American Graffiti seems positively benign alongside the Fast and the Furious movies.
Street racing in American Graffiti seems like something, if you were a lot cooler than me, you would actually do. That's the crazy thing. Like, you watch these movies as a kid. I had an '87 Oldsmobile Cutlass Cruiser, and I would literally get on the line with someone and just rev that thing up. I don't know what I was thinking.
Excuse me, but I think we've had an accident.
Well, goddammit, I won't report you this time, but next time just watch it, will you?
The cars that they used in that were so spot on as far as cars from that era.
George Lucas grew up in a car culture, Modesto, California. And everything in the film, I think, is based on the recollections that meant so much to him.
There's been countless amount of people that have built Milner's 5-window 32 coupe. You know, I mean, there's so many copies of that car, it's silly.
The Suzanne Summers Thunderbird, very cool. Like, that's still, to me, the sexiest girl car out there.
What a bitchin' babe.
You can't think of a lot of characters without their cars. It's part of their personality. It would be hard to think of Back to the Future or the character of Doc without thinking of that DeLorean.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
The DeLorean in Back to the Future made a very interesting vehicle to turn into a time machine. I mean, it's a stainless steel car. You know, how many of those are there? None, you know. It was this crazy car. It was the 80s. It was about technology.
We all wanted time travel in a comfortable vehicle compared to a booth. Like, the whole time traveling booth was kind of static and lame. So to make it a DeLorean seemed much more exciting.
The irony is that when the movie was made, the DeLorean had already ceased production. I think it was only made for 2 years in the early 1980s. And by the time the first movie came out, it was already kind of an icon of pop culture that had come and gone.
See if you bastards can do 90.
But it just kind of depends on what's going on at any given moment as to, you know, what the hot car of the day is. Movies definitely play into what's hot and what's not.
Does this thing move?
Oh, yeah. Trans Am sales made a marked jump in sales after that Smokey and the Bandit movie came out. It's a documented fact that Pontiac grew because of that movie. You could actually order a Bandit edition Trans Am.
And Smokey and the Bandit, the action they did was just incredible. And then you got Burt Reynolds, and you got this hot Trans Am, and the jump, that was a for real jump, you know. I mean, went almost 180 feet with that Trans Am.
We did that! Did you see what we did?
Yes, I did.
I want to jump something else! I want to jump a house! I want to jump something!
Well, jump me.
Oh man, the Trans Am, that was about as cool as it got. He's got a Trans Am with an eagle on the hood and he's transporting beer. What more do you want out of life?
Michael, you do realize this race is academic, not to mention unnecessary.
Why is that?
The car of the future is already here. Me.
The Knight Rider Trans Am was really falling on the trailing end of the Smokey and the Bandit years. But it's, you know, it's a stealthy black car with a little red light that goes back and forth, and it's mean and it's nasty. And it really captures the imagination and makes for a fun car.
Doing what you can do, huh, buddy?
The Knight Rider car, I believe, was not factory settings. I think they souped that thing up a little bit, which was good.
If you have any thoughts of rescuing her, Michael, I'd advise you check my schematic visuals.
He is so calm the whole time, that car. Because, you know, normally you expect him to go a little howl at some point and lose it, but no, always kept his cool.
Hello, camera.
It talks?
Sometimes to a fault.
There always seemed to be some kind of lover's quarrel going on between the two of them.
We're not bringing them down!
I gave it everything I had, Michael.
As every man has with their car.
Give me everything you got!
Some cars make for better car chases, like you want to see a Ferrari.
Don't worry, Higgins, I'll drive careful.
Convertibles are great because they let you see the actor unencumbered, and they look cool.
I still believe to this day, if you've got a Ferrari, you've got some kind of Camaro, grow the stash. It just goes with the car. None of the guys in Fast and Furious have a mustache, do they? I think that's a mistake. I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna say for Fast and Furious 28 or whatever's next, everyone's got a stash up.
Hey, red light! Sometimes you're no fun at all.
On Miami Vice, the fact that these cops lived on a sailboat that had an alligator for a pet and they're driving a Testarossa Ferrari. Who's on the take? Who's really making money off all these drugs they're after?
Don Johnson needed that Ferrari because when he took women back home and it was on a boat with an alligator, like he really had to cash in on the cool car. I got a Ferrari though, remember? It's like, oh, I guess I'll stay the night with your alligator.
I think a smart movie maker casts his car as carefully as he would cast an actor. The car is playing a role in telling the story, and you wouldn't have a cool, hip guy driving, you know, a square car.
Sorry, I don't want to get married.
Each car has to reflect the personality of its driver.
What do you say? Is it the new Bluesmobile or what?
The characters of the Blues Brothers, played by Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, were all about attitude. They're so cool, they always wear their shades. And they drive a car that is a rehabilitated police car. Why? Because they can. They're the Blues Brothers. They can drive anything they want to.
You got us into this parking lot, pal. You get us out.
In the Blues Brothers, I was a working stuntman on that show. I remember we'd shoot those car chases, and we would tie up blocks of downtown Chicago. And it was just an incredible thing.
The director, John Landis, wanted to do everything bigger than you'd ever seen it before. And so if a normal police pursuit had 8 police cars or 12 police cars, he wanted 30. And if a normal scene would be a car crashing into a plate glass window of a store, he wanted to quintuple that.
Lots of space in this mall.
They had a mall that they built in South Chicago that because of the internal theft, people were stealing so much out of that mall that they'd shut the whole mall down. This thing was huge, and the whole mall was empty.
This is ridiculous.
What are we gonna do?
Road Trip.
John Landis also directed Animal House. And if you're making a movie about college life and young guys, and what occupies young guys' minds and imaginations, well, some of it's got to be about cars.
They chopped up a Lincoln Continental, which it was a family car that got turned into this kind of crazy tank. I think that kind of opened a door for a lot of college students to kind of cannibalize their cars. Every college campus you go to, there's at least one guy there that's got some sort of weird stuff spray painted on his car. He's got things glued to it. Parts of it are cut off, you know. And I think some of that stems back from movies like Animal House.
There's been some tremendous stuff done. There's been car stories since the time they invented the automobile, but the way we film them today, everything has gone so far above what they ever thought of years ago. The Bourne films are so spectacular with a lot of ingenious camera moves, a lot of ingenious camera placement. And you can't forget the editorial process in filmmaking. That's so important. It's that magic in the cutting room that really makes this stuff come together.
I think the car chase where Matt Damon is driving the Mini Cooper in The Bourne Identity is one of the all-time great car chase scenes. First off, it takes place all around a real city. It's snaking in and out of the most unlikely crevices of that city at a terrific rate of speed. Doug Liman, who shot and directed it, just did a beautiful job of making it exciting and thrilling even, but credible. If you're talking about what makes for surefire entertainment around the world that almost any audience can respond to, it often has to do with action. And a car chase. The Fast and the Furious movies are the romance and the thrill of riding a cool car or racing a cool car, trying to impress a girl, trying to outmatch your rivals. This is basic, fundamental movie storytelling, and its appeal is timeless.